Hey, so I just wanted to jump on real quick because we were sitting around looking, or we're doing some gardening today, and we're picking weeds. Max has his cars picking weeds, and it's really cool because I've had a lot of parents, or I've seen a lot of parents and had a lot of parents talk to me about this point of, you know, how do you support your kids to have good values, like have good moral values, or you know, implement things in their life that are guiding principles. And you know, why do kids lose their moral value when they you know, become teenagers and that kind of stuff. Nope, not right now. He's just not on right now. He's not watching. Because I can see who's on, and he's not on right now. You want to come over? Come look?
Can I wave?
Yeah. Did you push the wave buttons? Here you go. Nice.
What are
Cool.
the names?
Milat and Erica.
Mama, Erica.
Yeah.
Mama and Erica. What's he saying?
Maylat. Maylat is how you pronounce her name. Maylat. Yeah. But what I was considering is that, you know, like something like this,
Mama.
like, yes? Like something like enjoying just sitting out in the sun, you know, gardening and doing simple things like pulling weeds and that kind of stuff, and making it into a game and just having fun. It's like, why do kids stop liking that when they get older? I'll hear parents say. And it's very clear that a lot of us as parents, we can get some ice water in just a moment. Okay, we'll go inside in just a moment. We're not valuing kids from the beginning, you know, and we're not supporting kids to integrate principles that are useful very early on, you know, and we're sending kids to school and wondering why they don't have our value system, or why they don't, you know, take on the principles that we've been trying to teach them, instead of it being a daily thing where we're making sure that they're seeing the actual practical reality of having principle. What's up? You want to see?
Whoa. Chris Bowie.
Mm-hmm.
It's Chris Bowie.
Okay.
Who's that?
Debbie. You want to push the buttons again? I don't think it did it.
Nice. Who's that thing?
What does Chris Bowie say? You see what he says? Can you read that?
Hi, Max.
Hi, Max.
Hi, Chris Bowie.
Here, I'll put it so we can all see.
People. Why is
It requires a lot of patience. A lot. And I think that's been the hardest,
Who sent us that love?
most challenging principle to integrate for myself. What?
Who sent us that love?
I don't know. I didn't see it. Because, but that's the most important one, because I mean, think about how much patience is required in really building things in this world, or changing our system. What's up? Okay, you can get some ice water. Do you know how to get it out? Can you get it? Okay. You want some ice water too?
Yeah.
Go in there, Max will give you some. Yeah. But we're not really taught patience in school. School's not about patience. It's about moving from one thing to the next and kind of keeping kids, well, a good way to put it is keeping kids entertained and occupied until they're ready to go home or until they're ready to be picked up. And that's just part of the design of school. It's not to blame anybody, regardless of what your perspective is on, why school exists or who's doing all of this to everybody. It's like we're all participating. And when you put your kids in school, it's more about occupying their time or feeling like you can't occupy their time properly. So we're not really giving kids we're not appreciating their value, because kids have inherent value. Like, they will support you, they will teach you so much. Even this point of patience, just teaching you how to breathe and let go of things that you think are important, and how to guide someone from the very beginning who knows nothing, how to do things and how to become self-responsible, and how to have integrity, right? Because integrity just comes from, on a daily basis, supporting children to develop principles, to see the consequences of principles, like having self-honesty, having a good work ethic in the sense of seeing what needs to be done in your reality and then getting it done. And that's not something that comes from yourself when you're in school. And it's not really something you ever really properly get to take on for yourself in terms of practical things. Did you get it? Did you put ice in it? Nice. Wow, that's awesome. And so I've seen that more and more.
It's one of the silver cups.
Yeah, I see.
It's the one that Sink had milk in.
Oh, okay. Did you rinse it out?
Yeah.
Nice. And the more you do it with kids when they're really, really young, and the more you're supporting yourself to develop that patience, you'll see the reward. Like, the reward is just the mapping out of the time that you're putting in to create an independent and self-reliant
Katie, how would a
human
mouse
being.
turn on the sink?
How would a mouse turn on a sink? Does Stuart do that in the book?
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
But even with this, like picking weeds, I just came out here and sat down and started doing it, and the kids came out. Seneca came first and just started kind of saying weeds, 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 and helping me and pulling out stuff, and also pulling out some of the plants we have planted, and just showing her which ones are the weeds and which ones are the ones we planted deliberately. And then Max came out and wanted to do it with his cars. So it's like kids want to help. And the more that I've developed the patience to be able to let them help me, I think that was a big part of it, because we all become so isolated when we go to school. And you can see this for yourself, and I think we can see this in the world too, where, regardless of what you think about all the protests and, all the stuff that's happening, all the stuff in the news, the bottom line is that I think we have a large generation of young people who have very little practical skills, or we're all very specialized in that we might have one skill, but we don't really know how to practically live. Like, there are some basic skills that are required for practical living that I think a lot of young people don't have, including myself. I'm my generation, right? And this isn't to say, oh, the previous generation is better, and it's like, it was better back in the day. That's not the point. It's just to look at a large group of people where there's a lot of frustration because none of us have really been supported from a young age to develop the skills that we need to practically live on a daily basis, to build things, to have a creative outlet for building things that have practical value in our world. And that's something that I'm going to support the kids with a lot as I'm developing this for myself. It's sort of like becoming a kid again, because I have to learn a lot about, you know, the things that are practically required to live, like how to clean, how to cook, how to grow food, how to take care of a home, like how to communicate with people effectively, how to take care of animals, you know, just observing nature, looking at everything around us. And it's like you can't practically do that if you're in a building most of the day. Like you don't really, that's just the reality. I mean, if we were just to be honest, the reality of it is if you're sitting in a classroom for 5 or 6 hours of the bulk hours of the day where you're awake, you're not really getting access to a lot of what's real in this world. The real stuff. Like you're not really learning, you know, how nature works, how rain works, how water works, how the plants grow, what bugs do. And you know, like for example with Max right now, we're learning a lot about electricity and circuits and all this stuff that that also has a practical application in our world. So not only is he going to learn it from videos we might watch, like we were just watching about circuits and Tesla coils yesterday, but we're also going to learn a lot of that in physical reality. So it's going to have a practical application in the world, not just the books we're reading, not just the videos we're watching, but as quickly as possible integrate it into our physical reality. You know, like looking at how a car engine works and looking at how the circuitry in the car works. Those kinds of things are really super useful, and it's the school environment is not structured to be able to facilitate that fluid movement from learning information to the practical application of it right away. You know, you don't even really get to see a lot of that practical application, for example, in the sciences until you get into high school, when kids are taking, you know, bio lab and chem lab and, you know, physics lab and stuff like that, which a lot of kids don't even take. But the kids that do, I mean, I've been in all those classes, and it's like you're not, it's still very artificial. It's not very structured to be able to really have kids be able to investigate the things that they're interested in. Now that's how kids build value, because they're sitting and observing the world and practically applying themselves in it, and then getting to see how our physical reality really operates, learning how to grow food, you know, learning how the seasons work, learning what weather is all about, like learning how temperature affects different things. And these are all things that Max and I and Seneca now are all learning together without me having any formal training on any of that. You know, it's just me investigating things and then them being with me and us learning together. And that's what I really see is how you build value in children from the beginning. And that is all, I would say it's impossible to do. And I'm going to be very bold in saying that, because it's impossible to do if you're sending your kids off to go learn away from you and you're not getting to see what's going on in that environment. And then you're expecting them to come home with some sort of value built into them, but you don't, you didn't do it. You know, you didn't do it yourself, and then you're trying to do it on the weekends, or you're trying to do it rushed in the evenings while you're trying to make dinner. And the thing is, I know that a lot of parents are not in positions in our world to be able to stay home with their kids. That's a mistake. That's something that we need to look at as a society, because if we're wondering why we have whole groups of kids or groups of young people who have no ability really to do anything practical in this world and are very frustrated at our political systems and are very frustrated, you know, at our government, but don't really know how to do things themselves. And I think we're getting to see this with this with this group of people in Seattle and in other places in this world, where it's like they're trying I really think some of them are trying their very best to change things, to do what they think they can do to change, but really it's just using force and not having a real practical plan as to how to build real value in their communities. It's not about building, it's about you know, it's very childlike, and a lot of us are in a not supportive way stuck in that childlike mindset of just getting frustrated when things don't go the way that we would like, or getting frustrated about things in our world, instead of really practically looking at how can I develop a system that actually supports everyone effectively. How can we remove a lot of these separations and segregations in our world, where again we're not considerate or caring of other people. And it starts in childhood, and it starts from really developing an awareness and an understanding about how this world practically works. And that's what we're looking at with TechnoTutors, supporting parents to start bringing the education back into the home. Because regardless of your education, regardless of your training, like in terms of being a teacher or something like that, none of that is really practically necessary. And a lot of times it can stand in the way of really being able to connect and communicate with your kids, because you have this idea of how things have to go, or how you have to train your kids with all this like specialized material and you know, like counting blocks and like all this stuff, when a lot of it is just going out in nature wherever you can, and integrating your kids into our real world. And again, for those who can do it and choose not to, or are on the fence in terms of deciding, you know, especially right now is kind of the summertime before we step into when schools are going to open in the fall. You have this opportunity now to start really testing this point for yourself. And if you can, make the decision to not put your kids back into that environment where, again, you can't direct what's really going on in your kids' world. And that's what kids need at an early age. Like, they need support, they need direction, they need people who can really care and give them the attention that they need all the time. And I can say this because I'm with my two kids, like, they need all my attention. And the fact that I'm even doing this for 15 minutes is like a lot. And if we can give that to them, oh cool. What are you showing us?
It's an M3 circuit.
An M3 circuit?
Yeah, look. You know what the M3 is? The M3 is right there.
Okay.
It's the M3 circuit.
Uh-huh. Can you tell us some more?
Okay, and look. See these right there?
Yeah. What else?
Yeah, so this is a radio, but you can't see FM because she's not on.
Do you know what FM stands for?
Frequency.
Frequency is the F part. What's the M stand for?
Modulation.
Modulation. That's correct.
Look,
Frequency modulation.
I see a
Are you
car.
gonna sit down?
I see a car that's already picking me.
Oh yeah.
That's a little car.
Okay, what else you got? Is this a tuner, this CV thing?
I think, yeah.
Or is it some kind of switch?
I think this is tuner.
Uh-huh. What's
Radio.
this thing?
A meter.
A meter. What else you got? What's C5? What is that?
Capacitor.
Capacitor. What is this S3? What is that thing?
Relay.
It's a relay? Isn't it? It's like a switch, right? That's why it says S. It's a relay switch. Yeah.
I am.
Yeah, that's a capacitor.
I've got a push switch.
You get a push switch?
Yeah, because that one can't turn on right, so I have the push switch. So there.
Nice. All right, we're gonna go play some more. Did you want to tell the people anything else?
decided this one. That's a diode.
You're right, that is a diode.
Yeah, but I have seen two more diodes. That is all it down. Look at that. That's C3 and that's C2.
Yeah.
What the freak? A diode give me a diode?
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna end this video. You gonna say bye, Cindy?
Bye.
Bye.
Why did you end it?
All right, see you guys later.